I've officially hit the peak quarter-life crisis milestone. I'm training for a marathon. All jokes aside, my run streak has led me down the path of wanting to run a marathon. So this week I'm gonna bring you through a week of what it's actually like to train for a marathon. As someone who has to sit at a desk 9 to 5 most days, and as a complete newbie who has not quite built up the volume and speed yet of a Philly Bowden. Come on! As much as I can dream. She is the coolest human, yep. Anyways, let's jump to it. Good morning. It is Monday. Just chugged this coffee. Didn't film it because how would I remember to film before the coffee's in me? I made these blueberry muffins that are hideous. I won't recommend the recipe. I just take oats, a little bit of protein powder, baking powder, eggs, some kind of sweetener, a little salt, and just blend it. I don't really know the portions. And then add blueberries and bake it. And it's just a little nice pre-run snack. So I'm gonna have that, and then we got 8K. Let's go. My goal for the marathon is to feel so happy and good after the race that I wanna go dancing. Yeah, I'm gonna be sore AF, but I don't wanna feel broken. And that's my biggest goal, is just to complete the marathon healthy, enjoying that I want to run another air marathon, and that be my main concern time. Monday, an easy run. We start off with easy run because my weekends are where it's a bit more intense. So we're doing 8K easy. And the funny thing about running a marathon is I remember when I used to hear someone say, I'm just going for 10K. And I'd say, F you, just 10K. And then you start training for a marathon and you say, oh yeah, I just went 8K today. I get the irony. It's just something that happens. And speaking of something that happens, that I need to go to the washroom 2K into every single run. And here's my hack. None of the public washrooms are open because it's too early. So I order a single espresso shot from Starbucks because I'm pretty sure it's the cheapest thing on the menu, or cake pop. And just pop the cake pop with the mid-run gel, or take the espresso shot and keep going so I can use the washroom. And little fact, there's like a little bit of caffeine in decaf. So it's just kind of like a little bit of caffeine in a gel. Ready to go. In an ideal world, I would have a break, be able to go for lunch, and then go for my second workout. But no, I gotta get this all done before 9 a.m. So I quickly had a go bar to get some extra carbs in me, and then we're off to weight training. Today's lower body strength session is about 5 sets. Supersetting a lot of exercises. This is something I'm really trying to focus on for my marathon training, is just keeping my strength training up. This is so important to reduce injury. It's just, you're constantly pounding the pavement. So by weight training, you're reducing the risk of injury and also muscle imbalances. I have one glute that's a lot weaker than the other. And if I'm not constantly strengthening it, what will happen is like my right knee will start compensating for when that muscle tires out. So this is a big focus for me. If you're ever in Vancouver, probably what I eat the most, Red Umbrella Cafe, just a small local restaurant, is so good. Their sourdough toast is what I dream about every night. It is perfection. So sourdough toast, some eggs, little side salad, serve some veg, breakfast. Oh, Keltie, what race are you running? Yeah, let's do a little fast recap of the last 2 months. So during my run streak, I decided I was going to sign up for a marathon. I was looking for a bunch of September fall races, but none I could make to around Vancouver. So actually I signed up for the BMO Vancouver next April. So at least I knew I had something to train for, but I won't lie, I was like a little disappointed because it was so far away. I saw so many people using Runna everywhere. So I just downloaded that app, and then I picked the longest training block I possibly could, and it allowed 24 weeks. So I just decided I'm going to train for 24 weeks, and then maybe I can do Seattle or Victoria or something in November. It's not ideal, but at least I had something on the schedule. But then something happened, which we're going to talk about at the end. Today's one of those days where like, I'm not in the mood to work out. I'm just sore, tired, just ugh. But here's my hack for those moments. You know, it's so funny that those workouts you don't want to do, when you do them, end up being the best workouts. Yeah, I just remind myself of that. Every time I'm in this mood, I'm like, oh yeah, for whatever reason, how life works, the crappier you feel before, the better you'll feel after. Gaslight myself. I'm like, oh, I feel so crappy, I'm motivated. This means it's going to be a good workout. Tuesday we have a tempo run, which is a controlled but comfortably hard pace. According to Runna, it's usually around your lactate threshold or what you'd run for an hour-long effort. Tempo sessions improve your ability to hold faster paces for longer. They're often described at running pace where you can speak in short phrases but not hold full conversations. Today's I started off with a conversational pace, and then it was like 2 kilometers at a faster pace, I went a little too hot for the first 2K. Walking rest, 1 kilometer at a 5:25 kilometer, walking rest, another kilometer, walking rest, and then conversational pace cool down. And those tempos went great. I accidentally ran 30 seconds faster than I was supposed to on all of them, but that's just because I was concentrating on really good form. I was still in zone 2 and they felt easy. And there's proof that the crappier you feel before a workout, usually the better the workout goes. And then lunch rolled around. I had a lox bagel, some chips for a little extra sodium, and a little coleslaw on the side to get in some veg, and a mozzie ball soup for just extra delicious and warmness. And speaking of delicious warmness, later on in the day we had a cinnamon bun for just pure joy, because cinnamon buns are life. Why would you not want that? Explain that to me. Perfection. And I just want to talk about how nervous I am about just finishing the race. Unfortunately, my last longer race was a half marathon, and I went into it injured. I didn't put my ego aside. I should have canceled the race, but I trained for this, posted on social media, so that you should run this, even though I'd sliced my shin open. And I left that race feeling so hurt and in so much pain that it just completely discouraged me from wanting to run races. And that's why I'm taking such a slow, thoughtful approach to this race. Instead of just like pushing myself as hard as physically possible and risking injury, I'm really just trying to like bulletproof my body, fuel my body, strength train, do all those things, slowly increase volume. So I won't leave the marathon feeling good. I just don't want to leave the marathon feeling broken. Wednesday, you could actually classify as a rest day when it comes to running, because I only ran a mile. If you guys didn't know, I'm still keeping up with my run streak. I have 5 set days of true running workouts, and then the other 2 days I just run a mile, and it's either super chill or just test out running shoes. And I've really worked up to be able to do this and it not feel like it's like a burden on my body, which is unbelievable when you see some of these high professional athletes, when you can work your way up to running 6 to 7 times a week at these crazy distances and still be able to fully recover. I'm not there. I'm just running a mile. Headwind. But I did test out the Adidas Pros for you guys on this, and oh my God, are they fast. But then after I did, this was not a complete rest day, my weight workout. Today was a full body workout, and full body in the sense there was things like mountain climbers, box jumps, dumbbell chest flies, and then a lot of leg work. I won't lie, there's not a lot of upper body work. Not that it's not important, but the thing is, when you are not a professional runner, is like you have to make sacrifices. Is like, it's not ideal. You only have so many hours in the day. So the reality is upper body is not a priority for me right now, because it's not directly correlated to performance and injury recovery versus lower leg exercises. Now, is there benefit? There definitely is, especially with the health and longevity. But when you only have so many hours and only so much you can do and properly recover from, it's just a sacrifice. And that's the reality, is marathon training for anyone, but specifically people who have full-time jobs that's not running, there's a lot of sacrifices to be made. Obviously, professional runners have a lot of sacrifices that are made as well, but that's in a different context. It's like they sacrifice their social life more for the training, versus us regular folks usually have to sacrifice some areas in marathon training for the rest of our life. Speaking of which, one thing I've definitely been slacking on is mobility and stretching, which is so important and something I usually focus on so much, but it's just so many hours in a day and it's been slipping through. And I won't lie, after the end of a long work day, I just want to go home and sleep. And so today I booked a yoga class because I knew it would force me to go work on it. And this type of class I go to at house, I know they do focus on a lot of hip mobility. And so it's a less spiritual class and a bit more of mobility and sports performance. So I signed myself up into one of these to just force myself to get in at least one mobility session a week, and I felt so much better. And it was such a ripple effect of like, yeah, Keltie, you should do those warm-up exercises before your runs instead of raw dogging it like you have. And so later on in the week, I was a little bit better at actually doing my activation exercises before the run. Now, I'm giving advice to someone who hasn't run a marathon, so I get the joke in it, but I do find it's just so many lessons already learning in my training a couple weeks in. Like, one big thing is like how much I have to remind myself, like, this is an endurance event. I know it sounds funny, but like my whole identity growing up was an athlete. If you're new here, I was a college basketball player. I also played high-level volleyball and competitive swimming, and those were like my real biggest passions in sports. And the thing in those sports is I was the fast girl. Now, this is really lame to say, you know, a decade later after my sports career is long gone, but like in basketball, I was always the fastest girl. In competitive swimming, I did sprints, speed, quickness. That was what I was known as. That was like so much of my identity. And it's so weird to like go slow, but I'm not fast in the sense like I got to slow down. I got to slow everything down, but I have a really slow marathon time. And it's every day like questioning my own identity as an athlete. Like, yeah, we're going slow and that's the point of it. But if I go fast, I'll go faster in this race. But like, it's just this constant battle of speed and like humbling yourself, because I am in reality not at the pace to maintain a 4-minute kilometer for 42 minutes. As much as I wish I am, my joints, my body, I'm just not there. And it's so frustrating as someone who used to be fast. And now I have to like almost change my body and mindset to slow. But I keep reminding myself in these moments is like, I hope marathon running or distance running is something I can do for many years. Maybe not. Maybe I'll do the marathon and hate it. But I don't want to push myself so much that leads to injury and finishing the marathon, never wanting to run a marathon again. So I really just try to remind myself in those moments of like, it feels like I'm going too slow. That's the point. I have to slowly build it up. Like this, I will not run a sub 3-hour marathon. And as an athlete, it's hard. It's hard. You hear those stats and you're like, yeah, I want to be that person. First marathon, sub 3. And I'm like, nope. The whole point of this marathon is just to finish this marathon and then start working on speed. But right now, balance and health and longevity and injury prevention is really the main thing that matters, I feel, at least for myself in my first marathon. And I have to keep reminding myself that. Team blueberry bagel. Can I have it down in the comments for anyone who just loves a blueberry bagel? I was raised on blueberry bagel and butter. That is just one of my favorite things, pure nostalgia. So today, pre-run, just getting a little some carbs. We had a blueberry bagel with cream cheese and some jam. This is gonna be a 10-kilometer easy run, so I did throw in some stuff into my vest just to have. I find with like anything under 12 kilometer, I very seldomly need carbs or electrolytes in it, especially if I feel it before, but I still like to have it if I'm gonna wear the vest or just put it in my pockets. As in terms of gear, my favorite shorts right now are the Shake It Out shorts from Lululemon. They're just so cute, flowy, I absolutely love. My Fast and Free are my go tried and true, which might be my race day shorts. I won't lie, I'm kind of torn between the two. Like the Shake It Out are cuter, but the Fast and Free, just the flowness of them is unbelievable. And then I just love the Power Y sports bra. Not the most supportive, but that's why I like it. As someone who doesn't need much support, I rather focus on not having too much restriction on my shoulders. And we're off for just a 10-kilometer nice and easy breezy run. And it was conversational pace. And so here's my hack for conversational pace. It's FaceTime people. If you don't have someone to run with, and this is actually like, there's so much sacrifices we make with running, and especially training for a marathon, I'm learning. And I don't want to sacrifice my social life, especially in the summer, or like keeping up with my friends. And I'm long distance from a lot of people. So a habit I'm really trying to do, and it's hard because you're busy and people are busy, but I am trying to call people at least once or twice a week on my long runs. So it just feels like I'm doing something, whether I'm listening to an audiobook or calling someone. It's just stacking up. And is it ideal? No, but it also makes it a lot more enjoyable, and it feels like I'm just sacrificing less of other things in my life. Okay, I can feel I'm not recovering 100%, and I know it's my sleep because I'm not getting as much as I should. I typically wake up a bit before my alarm, and like my alarm's going off right in the middle of my sleep. And this is probably one of the hardest things about marathon training for us average folks. Because like, I only have so many hours. I have to wake up early, go for a run, get ready, go to the office, work all day, get home, make dinner, run errands. And by the time like I eat dinner, it's like time for bed, and there just almost isn't enough time to get that sleep. Versus like, I think of someone who's a pro athlete and a marathon runner, they don't have the 9 to 5. So like, it's actually so much easier for them to recover, even though they're working out harder, because the recovery is part of their job. So for us average folk, how much recovery you need is so much. We only have so many hours in a day. So I'm gonna have to move some things around to figure this out. Let's talk just my nutrition. I won't lie, I typically have a pretty laid back approach to nutrition. I just try and have a balanced diet, get all micronutrients, carbs, protein, fats, and some fiber at every single meal. But if I don't get it every single meal, it's not too big of a deal. I'm pretty blessed that I have a good intuitive eating. It's tough because I played sports, so I was always mindful of fueling my body my entire life. And then I learned more about different nutrition. So I'd say I'm mindful, leaning towards intuitive, but I'm still like structured in some way. But I won't lie, I like raw dog it. Up till this point, I've just kind of been like, yeah, this is in the fridge, this is what I'll eat. And it has left to some digestive issues. And also I want to start practicing for race day, race week, carb loading. So I have been just a bit more mindful of like, what do I have right before my run? What do I have after my run? On my long runs, testing my in-fuel running. So it's really just like practicing fuel for race day. And what is that? A lot of carbs, as it should be. Carbs are fuel, so a lot of bagels, cereal, oatmeal, before a run, for energy, after the run, some carbs and protein to help my body repair. And yeah, carbs are the name of the game for energy. What about supplements? My supplement routine has not changed at all. I drink electrolytes every day, vitamin D, omegas, sometimes some fun ones. And of course, you guys know I've had drinking AG1 every day for almost 5 years now. But something that is new, dun, dun, dun. You heard it here first, folks. AG1 now has new flavors. Citrus, it tastes like lemon and orange. A tropical, which is the papaya and passion fruit, and berry, which tastes like blueberry and strawberry. I'm gonna be honest, the berry one is my favorite because berries, blueberries, raspberries, berries are my favorite fruit. Now, flavors aside, why have I drank an AG1 every day for the last 5 years? Because one scoop contains your multivitamin, pre and probiotic, superfood, and antioxidant, all into one simple daily habit. You just have that, check. You don't have to have 1,000 things. It's so many habits combined into one because we're all overwhelmed. There are a lot of benefits that support your energy, improves digestion and gut health, can fill in nutrient gaps in your diet. AG1 Next Gen is backed by 4 clinical trials clinically shown to fill common nutrient gaps and support gut health. So if you want to try AG1's new flavors, I got a deal for you guys. If you use my link or scan this QR code, you'll get a free welcome kit worth $76 when you subscribe, including 5 AG1 travel packets, a shaker, canister, and scoop. Thank you AG1 for sponsoring this video. So something crazy happened. I signed up for the BMO Marathon. So at the end of my run streak video, if you guys saw that, it was like, signed up for my first marathon. It was BMO in Vancouver. And I was planning to give myself a year to train for it. But in the meantime, I was like, you know what? I could kind of do a fall one. So I started training for a fall one, but there was no fall one that worked out. And then I got invited to Berlin. I know, it is crazy. A whole series of events happened. And all I can say is I have one story, and this is pretty cool, and you might not believe in this kind of stuff, but my friend Sav called me and said she had this tea reading. Anyways, in the tea reading, the person said, oh, have you know anyone that died of a stroke recently? She's like, no, I don't, but my friend Keltie's dad did. This is really personal, so it's hard for me to say, but she said 3 symbols were coming to her. One was a baseball cap, which my dad always wore, I always wore, so I was like, okay, I could kind of see the symbolism in that. I honestly forgot the other one because the third was an eagle. And I was like, oh, that's really weird. I guess like my dad was outdoorsy, but like I can't see like any symbolism between eagle. Literally like the next day I got invited to go do Berlin, and I did like a 10-year vision board back in January of like just a bucket list of things I wanted to complete, and randomly I wrote Berlin Marathon. I don't know, I just always spoke to me, and I was just like, yeah, I think that'd be really cool. And then I got invited to it, and then I just, for shits and giggles, Googled like symbol of Germany and like Berlin, and it was an eagle. And yeah, I don't know if you believe in that kind of stuff. Regardless, it just felt like my dad was just kind of saying like, I'm here. Things are aligned. Yeah. It's Friday, and street keep day. So on 2 days of the week, I actually don't have a run, but I just run a mile to keep the streak. And I actually just use it primarily to test out new shoes. So right now, Adizero Adidas Pro 4 shoes is what I'm testing. And how it works is for a couple, I don't know if this is relevant to anyone, but like I don't want to just like raw dog a 20K run with a pair of shoes I've never done, because that's bad. So I just usually do a couple mile run streaks with a pair of shoe. So this will be like my 3rd time with them. And then after a while, I'm like, oh, I'm good with these. And then I'll bring them on a 5, a 10 and progress. But that's how I do my shoe reviews. Something so humbling about taking trash out in a super shoe. Anyways, these Speedy bad boys, and I'll give you my thoughts right now. Speedy! So freaking fast. Like when you wear these, it's actually insane. The positioning of them like forces you to run on your forefront. So if you're a heel striker, avoid these at all costs. You'll be in living hell. And you just have such a spring. They're so light. I have so much fun running with these. And I get why so many people are running marathons, because you're so fast. But as someone who's tested a lot of shoes, but hasn't ran many marathons, aka none, I'm almost positive I will not be wearing these during my marathon. The reason being is, yes, they're fast, but the faster the shoe, you compromise a bit of cushioning because you want that spring of the carbon plate. They're still good cushion, like they're not super hard like some shoes, but the super shoes definitely aren't as cushiony as like a cushioned soft recovery day shoe. If I was running a 10, even a half, something that I know how my body responds to, I'd run these and be going for a PR. But I don't have a PR in my marathon. I'm just trying to survive the marathon and not hurt myself. And so speed isn't the objective. So I will be leaning towards more of like a foamy shoe during the marathon. And yes, I compromise a bit of performance. I won't have as much as that spring, but it's better than being in living hell. Because I did that with my first half marathon. I just raw dogged with a pair of carbon plates I never tried and would not recommend. And speaking of injury prevention, we got another weight training. Right now I'm doing 3 sessions a week, mostly about 5 sets of supersets of some sort. Today was good mornings. We had some banded dead bugs, some step downs, a lot of single leg things, which is really important, I think, with running specifically, because guess what you're running? Single legged. So it's really just having those muscles that support one foot on the ground at a time, and the impact. And also the best thing about weight training is it will increase your speed as well. So there's just many benefits. Moral of the story, we got it done. And because it's Friday, you have to have a little fun treat, and the cherry blossom smoothie bowl from Body Energy Club is one of my favorite things. It is delicious. We had that as a little post-workout recovery. And speaking of sweet treats, I picked up some Purdy's chocolate to have on the weekend after my long runs, because Purdy's chocolate is the best chocolate on earth. Go Canada. If you haven't tried a Purdy's hedgehog, I'm so sorry. Come to Canada, have it. It is delicious. And that is my little weekend treat. My Swedish tradition in Canada is having some candy on the weekends, and specifically as a little reward for surviving tomorrow's big Bertha we have coming. It's long run Saturday and I woke up feeling great. I have 23 kilometers at a lot of my race pace, which is scary. I have not done a run this fast for this long. The closest I've had is my half marathon, and I was feeling amazing. A lot of good food in my stomach. I had a good sleep. I got my pre-run hydration and caffeine in. I put on a cute outfit. I had a good audiobook ready to go, because I was gonna start off with an audiobook and then go on my ways to my music. Everything was going great. I was feeling good. And then it all went downhill. First, I grabbed my phone to take a video for you guys, smashed my phone. You know what? It's okay, phone smashed, but we have a GoPro. My GoPro, now dead. In the scramble of all this, what do I do on Runna? I accidentally click next interval, which means all my paces are wrong. So this pacing I was going to practice this entire run, no, I just have to raw dog it old school. And guess what? I got in my sad girl feels. I'm just frustrated right now. And now the bathroom I always run to is closed. I was miserable. I was about 5 kilometers into this and was like, you know what, just go home. You have Sunday, do your long run Sunday. You know, everything's going wrong, just give up. The next 4 kilometers, I was just mopey. I was just sad. Everything was going wrong. What am I doing? I'm wasting my Saturday. And then I started to feel guilty. I should be happier. And then luckily some podcasts came on, and I remember the Philly Bowden YouTube video I watched the night before, which I'll talk about later. But ironically, also the running channel podcast came on, and it was all just about like mental things and like control what you can, and you just have to let go of the things you can't. And in that moment, I was like, you know what? There's nothing I can do in the moment to fix those things. I can just focus on trying to run my race pace best I can without the pacing. And then it made me realize, I'm not going to have a lot of these luxuries on race day. So this is actually great practice. And it forced me to actually simulate more of a race day versus just a casual run that I would have done. And after about 12 kilometers, I wouldn't say I was like happy, but we got through. And then I remembered the best thing to make you happy on a run is music. I just made my running music 2025 playlist, which you can find on Spotify. I've linked down in the description, and I blasted this thing. And then my mood was completely changed. Everything changed this moment. The runner's high is coming. Just right, left, right, left. I was hitting all my paces, and I was just simply enjoying it so much that like I was going faster than my pace at time, and in a good way. And it's like, it just felt easy. I felt good. And it's a reminder that those runs that you don't want to do end up being your best runs. The runs that start out you're excited to do might end up being your worst runs. And those moments that you just hate running, you hate the run, you just have to kind of push through, and you'd be shocked what would happen. And I use that as a reminder for myself when things are going wrong. I was like, you know, those runs that you hate, those end up usually being the runs you love. So whenever I'm hating it, I just say, hey, just hold on. This could be a really good run. Don't give up yet. My running hack is Ribs by Lord when you're deep in the pain cave, because you can't go to like heavy songs. You're like, this is too much. You need like emotional, but the bass is like duh, duh, duh. It will get you out when you're deep and everything hurts. Trust me. Survived the run of hell and it ended off well. It's so cliche. And that evening, I met up with my best friends for dinner. We had a picnic, sunset, tacos, a veg plate, some fun drinks, and my best friend made a lemon blueberry cake, which we all enjoyed, and watched the fireworks. And this is something I really have to focus on, is scheduling in social time. Even when busy, even when doing things like this, we think of recovery, at least for myself. I always am so classic to turn to sleep, stretching, fueling your body in recovery, but having a social life is also really beneficial, at least for myself. I find when I'm isolating for these grind periods is I let my social life suffer and then I get really down. I become sad. You know, life is about being around your friends and family, and when you're not around them, you'd be shocked at how negative a mindset you can get into, and I find that's the most negative thing for recovery. So during marathon training, no, it's not going to be the time where I'm going out every, weekend, nightclubbing and partying and drinking my face off, but really just having those wholesome nights with your friends and loved ones is something I'm really prioritizing right now, at least one time a week, just to maintain my friendship and just bring joy into my everyday. And I find that's actually helping me be more energized and enjoy the grind that is this marathon training. Funny enough, me mentioning Philly Bowden at the start of this video, because I was watching her video the night before my long run where everything went completely wrong. And in the video, I will link it down in the description or right here at the end of the video. She talks about working with a sports psychologist. And one thing her sports psychologist makes her do is put things into 3 categories: what you can control, what you can influence, and what you can't control. And I won't steal her video, so go watch that after, but just in premise, what I did in that moment is I really just tried to tell myself, like, what can I control in this moment? What can I influence and what is out of my control? And something about just like putting little issues into buckets was good. And it also reminded me, like, that's the point of practicing long runs. It's in my mind, I went in, it was like just practicing my fuel, practicing my recovery, like nail it. But that's practicing everything at 100%. The real best thing you can do in a lot of ways for long runs, as someone who just has done a lot of sports growing up, is you like practice everything that goes wrong. And so I kind of just looked like, yeah, it sucked. I smashed my phone and my GoPro wasn't working and Run it completely glitched out and, everything was going wrong. And I was like, yep, this is going to happen on race day. So how do you adapt for it? You won't have pacing. You might smash your phone. You might not be able to film it. You know what I mean? Like, I know you're like, oh, Keltie, that's a big deal. Hey, I want to film it for you guys. But it's, yeah. And then it just kind of changed my perspective. And once you change that perspective, you're not in such a mopey, dopey mood, which I was in. And then suddenly that blessed me with the runner's high, because I got out of just feeling sorry for myself, because no one feels sorry for someone in a quarter life crisis having the free time on a Saturday morning to run for a marathon. No one's feeling bad for you. One important thing about going for your runs is testing things for race day. And one thing I got to test is my hairstyle. And this might be my winning. I don't know, but I think I might do the braid high pony for race day. And this could seem superficial, but guess what? If you feel good, you run good. And also second, it is practical, because your hair, you can't have an impractical hairstyle when you're doing 2 to 4 hours of pure exercise, because that would be annoying. And this might be the win. As far as the run, I felt cute. It felt good. I got 1K left for the week, so I'm gonna mobile order a cappuccino and run there and have my little reward. Life is about doing hard things and then finishing them, and then you're happy, and then you get a little treat. Repeat. And we finish off with Body Energy Club, a very, very smoothie, one of my absolute favorite, cliche, and a little sweet treat as just a little reward for surviving another week that is marathon training. And that was a week of marathon training. I slowly build up. I'm really oddly enjoying it, which is crazy to say. Yeah, my body's stiff, but as someone who was a former athlete, I think I have to remind myself, like, I need these things. Like, I really thrive in structure and goal-based and having something in my fitness. And every once in a while you do it and then you're burnt out and you need to take time off, but it does make me feel alive. It does feel like, I'm not saying I'm a runner and I'm gonna train for the Olympics or anything, but like having purpose to my training and working out is just how I'm designed, with routine and discipline and goal-based, and having a coach, which Runna has been really nice, because it's like having a coach. As someone who can't quite justify getting a running coach right now, it's really making me happy. I'm really happy, and I just feel like me. And all my former athletes, post-grads who are, trying to find that identity, I think we need this. Or it's sometimes motivating for someone who wasn't a former athlete. Just having that goal is really motivating to work towards. So I'm really enjoying it. I would love to hear from you guys. I will do a marathon full training video, but is there any other videos you would want leading up to the marathon from me? I would love to hear that down in the comments. And then if you're training for anything, leave it down in the comments. I'd love to hear that. But most importantly, have a great day. Go pet a dog. Love you guys.